Hello, welcome to Dungeon Dwarves Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. And today we have another Tokusatsu Thursdays review for you guys. Today we're reviewing the 2001 Power Rangers show, Power Rangers Timeforce, which was adapted from Mira Sentai Timeranger. It has 40 episodes, and its cast is... let me just double check. You have Jason Faunt as Wes and Alex. You have Erin Cahill as Jennifer, Jen Scott, who you'll know from she was Shuri, I think her name was, from Spartacus Blood and Sand, which if you haven't seen that show, it's a great show. We got Michael Copon as the Blue Time Force Ranger. What was his name again? Shit. Lucas. He was Lucas Kendall. You got Kevin Kleinberg as the Green Force Ranger, aka Trip, who's the alien. Deborah Estell Philips as the Yellow Time Force Ranger, aka Katie. She was also in Wild Force. Yeah, that makes sense. And you have Daniel Southworth as Eric, aka the Quantum Red Ranger, which you'll also know him as the voice of Virgil in Devil May Cry 3 and 5. And you have Vernon Wells as Ransik, who you'll know from Commando. He played Bennett. And Edward Albert as Mr. Collins, who's Wes's father, and Kate Sheldon as Madeira. Yeah, that's pretty much the cast. The story for this show is that it takes place in the year 3000, and where you have this police force that that protects the timeline, kind of like the TVA from Loki. I just reviewed that today, right? And they also have to fight mutants in their present time period, which, mutants are like a result from which was a byproduct of genetic engineering. That was like a mistake, which that's how like the Ransik was created, and because he came out like a freak from genetic engineering, he hates humans and wants to destroy them all, right? But he can't. He, for some reason, even though he's super powerful, he can't beat the current. He can't beat the current Time Force, right? So he decides to travel back in time to the year 2000. And before that, he defeats the current Red Ranger, which was Alex, right? Who was the fiance of Jen. Jen, with the advice of Alex's dying breath, who turns out not to be dead, by the way, later on in the show. She and her friends collect the Power Ranger morphers and travel back to the year 2000 to capture Ransik. But before they can turn into Power Rangers, they need to find someone from the current year who has the same DNA as Alex before they can activate their morphers, and that turns out to be Wes, who is the son of Mr. Collins, who is the head of Biolab, who is kind of this like greedy like millionaire guy. But throughout the show, he becomes more philanthropic, right? Wes joins the team, and they go out and fight mutants that Ransik sets upon them, right? And the sixth Power Ranger in the team, the Quantum Red Ranger, is like the rival character of Wes, who got a job working for Wes's father, who sets up the Silver Guardians, which is this mercenary private security force that protects the city from from Ransik's mutant forces, who finds the quantum morpher and becomes the quantum Red Ranger, right? Who who has this really cool gun and can control his own Megazord, which is called the Q-Rex. I think it's called the Quantum Q-Rex or something like that. Which is like this T-Rex dinosaur that looks super cool, that can transform into a Megazord, right? And he controls it with his voice, right? Kind of like in like old mecha series, like Gigantor and Giant Robo, where they had like where they had like it was Giant Robo that controlled his robot with his voice. Gigantor, he had like a little remote control, right? So what I really liked about this series is, one, you have a likable cast of characters with their own like quirks. You have Jason Faunt's character Wes, who's the cool karate guy. You got Erin Cahill's character Jen Scott, who's like the naggy leader of the team. This is like the only like Power Ranger show where like you have like the Pink Rangers like the leader and not just the girl on the team. Right? You have Lucas, who's like the race driver, who's like a race driver in real life, and there's like a bunch of episodes where he gets in trouble with the cops because he's constantly like speeding shit. And who's like constantly hitting on girls. And you got Trip, who's like the nerd, and he has like his backstory is like he's part alien and has like psychic powers, but his psychic powers only works for like reading the thoughts of like robots, which didn't make a lot of sense to me, but it's like whatever. And you have the Yellow Ranger, whose thing is she's super strong, but a bit quick-tempered, right? And obviously, if you've seen the Japanese footage in the show, which you can tell the Japanese footage from the regular footage, because the Japanese footage will be super grainy, and it'll be like all Asian people in the background. But yeah, like, it's obvious that in the original, it was obviously a dude, because like, whenever she transforms into like a Power Ranger, her boobs just suddenly disappear. She becomes like super flat-chested. Yeah, I like this show. Like, you have likable cast. You have the really cool. I really like the Megazords in this show, where like the main Megazord, which is the Timeforce Megazord, it has like two modes, which I thought was cool. One is the blue mode, where it has like a gun, right, which is also a jet. Which there's like one episode where like the Quantum Rangers Megazord, which is supposed to be the most powerful Megazord in like the whole like timeline, gets defeated, and they're able to defeat the mutant with just the jet. I thought that was dumb, but yeah, like the Timeforce Megazord has like two modes. The blue mode has the gun, and the red mode has the sword and shield, which I thought it didn't really need the shield. Looked cool. It would have looked cooler without it. But yeah, like the sword, the red mode with the sword is the most powerful mode. And like later on, they introduced the Time Shadow Megazord that Alex will send from the future to help them out, which looks really cool on its own, but combined with the Time Force Megazord, doesn't matter which mode it's in, they can combine. And they also did this really stupid thing, where like the Time Force Megazord in its combined mode can like ride the Q-Rex ring, the Q-Rex Megazord. Which that's the thing with like a lot of the early Megazords. It's like whenever they have to like combine, it always looks dumb. And by the way, this is before like CGI. They use CGI, so you have like actors and the robots and like dressed as robots, which looks fucking awesome. Which like I saw a preview after I finished the show today. I saw a preview for Wild Force. I saw all this CGI and I'm like, yeah, I might not pick up Wild Force. Maybe I will, maybe I will not. Yeah, there's some dislikes I have about this show is the characters. All the characters who all look like they're in their 20s, act like kids. Act like kids. They do like odd jobs to support themselves at their like clock tower that they live in, which is called Nick and Time Odd Jobs. And like there's like this one episode like where they're like it's the arc where they introduce the Quantum Red Ranger, and like Eric's character, like Daniel Southworth, finds the Quantum Red Morpher, and Wes goes to see him, hey man, you have to give that back to us. It doesn't belong to you. And Daniel Southworth with his shit ingrained just goes, finders keepers, and it's like, how old are you? He just said finders keepers, and it's like, if you know Devil May Cry 3, it's like Virgil's voice. So it's like, can you imagine the fucking Virgil from Devil May Cry saying finders keepers? It's like, God, that's not a good like impression of his voice. So that yeah, it's like, oh fuck. And then there's the thing where like the episodes. The show is like, obviously it's Power Rangers, it's a kid show. It's very campy at times. You have like very like, like, and then there's like the early 2000s slang, by the way. Yeah, there's the early 2000s slang. Oh, I forgot to mention they have this like cute robot sidekick in the show called Circuit, which is voiced by some famous voice actress. I can't tell who, but it's like, I think it was Viz Media that did the voice acting for old Power Ranger shows. So maybe it was like fucking Wendy Lee or somebody. I think it was probably Wendy Lee. I would have to look it up. Which Circuit? Oh, sorry. Circuit was Brian Siddell. At least I was right. It was a voice actor. What does she work on? Let's double check. Let me pause for a second. Yeah, she worked on Serial Experiments Lane as Taro. She was in Bastard as Lush. She was Ryan and Super Dimensional Century August 2. Don't remember that character. She was in a lot of the Digimon animes. She was in Outlaw Star as James Jim Hawkins. Oh, I remember that character. She was in Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS team, which is really good. She went by, sometimes she would go by Ian Hawk. Okay. Oh, okay. So, like, a lot of the times when she had to play boy characters, she would go by Ian Hawk. Okay. She was Owl in War in the Pocket, which we reviewed that. She was Tsubasa and Elk as Hawks and Dot Hackstein. I don't remember Elk being. Oh, yeah. There's like an there's like an OVA where you see Elk. I think. Okay. So she's in a lot of shit. Satch Bell, Bleach, Naruto is Kafner. Gurren Lagann is Gimme. Okay. Yeah, she's even in Digimon Fusion, which I haven't seen that one. Yeah, so she's in a lot of stuff. Yeah, so, yeah, like, the individual episodes I felt weren't that great, but, like, when the show goes into arcs, where there's lots of arcs in the show, I thought, it got a lot better. The acting in the show, it's Power Rangers, so you can't expect too much. Though I thought Jason Faunt did a great job as both Wes and Alex. Though I kind of here's a nitpick. They never explained like what their relation was. Like, I thought it was implied that Wes was like, Alex's ancestor or some shit like that, but they never explained that. And there's even a thing near the final arc of the show where like it's implied that all the Timeforce Rangers died in the final battle against Ransik and Frax, who's like his second in command that he was at war with. Yeah, and so he sends like the other Timeforce Rangers back to the future, and he's forced to face the bad guys by himself with Eric, right? And like, yeah, they never explained that. I thought there was going to be a plot twist where you were going to find out that near the end of the show that like that Wes was going to turn out to be Alex. Like Wes with Biolab's technology was able to freeze himself chronologically or whatever, and was able to then wake himself up in the future 1,000 years. Because like Alex was supposed to be engaged with Wes, but then she fell in love with Wes. Yeah, they never explained that. I thought that would have been a cool plot twist. And with Biolab's technology, because they were reverse engineering a lot of the tech that Ransik left behind, the Timeforce Power Rangers left behind. They could have made up some excuse for that, but yeah, they didn't. The show ends with the Timeforce Rangers going back to the future, and Wes takes over the Silver Guardians, right? Yeah. So I like I said, I think there was a reason why, because even when I was a kid, I hated the campy shit in the Power Rangers, but this was one of my favorites as a kid. That in like Lost Galaxy and Ninja Storm. So if I were to give this a rating, I would say compared to other Power Ranger shows I've seen, I would say I have to give this like 7. I would say 7.5 out of 10. It's probably one of the better Power Ranger shows. And there's even like a show where like there's even an episode where like they get sucked into like the filming for a movie, and the movie was supposed to be like Rumble in the Bronx. Rumble in the Bronx, and then like you see like the mutant is a director, so he sends them to like different dimensions where they film their own favorite kind of genres of films. So like Wes and Trip get sent to westerns, Lucas gets sent to samurai film, Katie gets sent to like a romance musical, and like Jen gets dressed up like Chun-Li from Street Fighter, and like is stuck in like a Shaw Brothers film. When I fucking love that episode. That episode, I think that was a 2-parter. Might have been, that was like Movie Madness, right? That was Movie Madness. So yeah, that was a 2-parter. That was episode 24 and 25. Right? Though I thought the Jackie Chan look-alike in that episode looked nothing like Jackie Chan. It's just they just got some random Asian guy. Yeah. So I would say if you're a fan of Power Rangers and you're like looking for one of the cooler ones to start with, I think this is a great one. And so for our next Tokusatsu Thursday review, we're gonna try to watch and review a Super Sentai show, which the only ones I could find online were Bioman and Liveman. So let me know which of those two you guys want me to review in the comments. Alright, peace.